Hi, my name is Veronica Nocera, and I'll be doing my demo speech. This is my UF ID. I won't be using a note card, and can everyone wave? You wake up in the morning, you're tired, you're groggy. The only thing that can seem to get you out of bed is the thought of a caffeinated beverage from your local Starbucks. Once you get there, you have plenty of options. You can have a coffee, a tea, an espresso, or you can have a chai. Chai is a spiced black tea beverage, usually steeped in milk, and it's grown to become a popular beverage at Starbucks over the past few decades. According to an article published by The Guardian in 2016, the drink was first introduced to Starbucks as a chai tea latte back in the 1990s. There is one setback, though: the price. In my experience, a grande iced chai latte with no additives can cost up to $5, and this adds up quickly. And as a college student, I know what it's like to try and save money, but I also know what it's like to try and deal with classes, extracurriculars, and hobbies without the extra pep in your step that caffeine gives you. So if you move on to your next slide, you'll see that today I'll be teaching you all how to make an iced chai latte in only 3 simple steps. First, pour in your concentrate, then pour in your milk of choice, and finally, mix everything together for the perfect drink. So let's get started. The first step to making an iced chai latte is to pour in your chai concentrate. And if you move on to your next slide, we'll learn a little bit more about this step. There are a lot of different ways to get this chai flavor into your latte, including making it from scratch by steeping black tea leaves and spices in milk and water. However, in my experience, I found that the easiest way to get started is just using a store-bought chai concentrate. This is completely pre-made. It has all of the flavor notes that you're looking for, and it just needs to be diluted with milk, which we'll talk about more in step 2. And if you're wondering whether I'm the only person that's jumped on this at-home chai craze, the answer is definitively no. In fact, according to a 2015 article published by Mintel, a global public research marketing company, between September 2014 and September 2015, global sales for at-home chai latte products actually increased by 20%. So you've got a lot of different options. Sonia Chopra, an executive editor at food magazine Bon Appetit, swears that the best chai concentrate brand to use is One Strike Chai, an Oregon-based brand. However, I'm only familiar with the Trader Joe's brand and the Tazo brand. Choosing between these two is pretty much a matter of personal taste. For example, my friend Kaylin says that she prefers the Tazo brand when she's looking to replace her morning coffee, but prefers the Trader Joe's brand for something a little bit more sweet and dessert-like. Today, though, we'll just be using the Tazo brand. We'll also be using a 1-to-1 ratio of concentrate and milk. So you start by just filling up about half your glass with chai concentrate. And once you do this, you're ready to move on to step 2, adding in your milk. For this step, we'll also be moving on to our next slide. When it comes to picking a milk, it's like the concentrate. You have a lot of different options. You can go the more traditional dairy route with a whole milk, skim milk, and 2%, but chances are you're one of many who has started experimenting with non-dairy milk alternatives. According to a 2021 article published by Bloomberg, global sales for plant-based dairy products actually are expected to double by 2030. People make this switch for a variety of reasons, whether it's environmental reasons, health reasons, or just personal taste. But no matter what your reason is, you have a lot of different options. You can go with a soy milk, and almond milk, and oat milk, or even something a little bit more out of your comfort zone, like pistachio milk or macadamia nut milk. Today, however, we'll just be going with oat milk and the brand Planet Oat. And again, since we're using a 1-to-1 ratio, you just go ahead and fill up the other half of your glass with milk. And once both your liquids are in your glass, you're ready to move on to our next slide for our third and final step, mixing everything together. This is by far the easiest and quickest step. Just take a straw or a spoon and swirl everything together pretty easily. Since the concentrate and the milk are both stored in the fridge, your drink will probably already be cold. But if it's a particularly hot, sweltering Florida summer day, you can also go ahead and throw in a few ice cubes. And there you have it. Now you've successfully made your own iced chai latte, and you can actually have a few of them without suffering from caffeine overdose. This is because the main ingredient in chai is black tea, and if you go and move on to our next slide, you'll see that according to a 2022 study conducted by the Mayo Clinic, the amount of caffeine in black tea is actually about half of that in coffee. So now that you've successfully made your own at-home chai latte from the comfort of your own kitchen, let's take a moment to move on to our next slide and look back on what we learned today. As college students, we're always looking to save money by learning how to make your own chai tea latte in only 3 simple steps: pouring in your concentrate, pouring in your milk, and mixing everything together. You can save yourself a few dollars and a trip to Starbucks without having to sacrifice your craving for caffeine. Thank you. And now that we've finished the speech, we're time to move on to the question and answer portion. So does anybody have any questions about what we talked about today? Perfect.
I have a question. May I ask my question? My question is, how much does this cost? Because you say that it'll save me money as a college student, but just how much money am I saving?
That is a really fantastic question. So in terms of how much you're going to be paying, it really depends on the different choices you make when you're choosing a brand or a type of milk or a type of concentrate. So for the concentrate, if you're just going with something more run-of-the-mill that you can get at a normal grocery store, that'll probably lean cheaper. But if you want something a little bit more high-end or more authentic, probably, it'll be a little bit pricier. And the same goes for the milk. If you're getting just a normal dairy milk, like a whole milk, it'll probably be pretty cheap. But once you start going into the plant-based milks, especially something less popular like pistachio or macadamia, that'll definitely be pricier. But if we're going with just the 2 products that I used today, which was the Tazo chai tea latte concentrate and the oat milk from Planet Oat, I just got them both at Publix, and they both cost around $4 each. So a little over $8 for enough to sort of make several servings. Okay, Kaylin?
Yeah, so I know sort of related to the last question, but how many servings do you get out of one set of ingredients?
It's also a great question. Again, I feel like a broken record. It kind of just depends on what you're choosing to get. But if we're going to go with the 2 brands that we use today, for the Tazo brand, I've sort of gotten around 8 to 10 servings out of it. And then for the milk, I can get sort of up to double that. Just depends if you're only using your milk for chai tea lattes, if you're kind of using it pretty regularly throughout the week. But typically I'd say up to 10 servings without having to restock any of your ingredients. So since we said earlier that it's about $8 total, that's really like under $1 per serving. So you're definitely saving money compared to like the $5 you might spend for one drink at Starbucks. Okay, anyone else? Jana?
Yeah, so my question was, if I wanted to elevate my chai a little bit more, do you have any suggestions for other flavors that I can add to my chai recipe that you gave to us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I sort of think of it in the same way you would like customize a drink at Starbucks. You get the chai tea latte, but you can really add whatever flavors you want. So I think 2 options that would work are either like a vanilla or a caramel, whether you make your syrups yourself or if you just sort of buy them from the store. It would just kind of add like one extra step to the process. So you'd add your concentrate, you'd add your milk, you'd add your syrup, and then you mixed everything together, and not that much extra time, but you get sort of a more unique customized flavor. Okay, anyone else? Okay, perfect. So if that's all the questions we have, then that'll bring an end to the Q&A portion. And thank you all for listening to my speech today.